Hey, Chris.
Hey, buddy, can you see me? I'm not on video yet, am I?
No, I can't see you. Not yet.
Okay, just wait. I'll get my producer. My wife will get us all hooked up.
Although I do like that picture. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I wasn't supposed to get that done. I was at a Comic-Con. They're like, you cannot get your picture taken with him. And I leaned over and that guy scared me. There's 4 shots of him sneaking up behind and scared me.
Nice.
There I am. Hey.
Nice. There you are.
There we are, buddy. Good. How are you doing, man?
Good, man. Yeah, nice to finally see you. I've heard, of course, a lot about you through our buddy Brent and stuff. But cool. Yeah, man, thank you for taking some time here to join us. We have Chris Machetti. He's an artist, musician, podcaster. Which is taking up most of your time right now lately?
Oh, the art. So, yeah, do you want me to give you a brief rundown of
Yeah.
Okay, so check this out. So, my name's Chris Cochran, but they call me Chris Machetti, and that will come into the story in a second here. So I started out, I went to nearly 90. I'm closer to 50 than I am 40. Let's just say that.
Same.
So Same. Right on. So we're Gen Xers, right? So yeah. I went to, in the early 90s, I went to, and still the best comic book school in the world. It's in New Jersey, the Joe Kubert School of Comic Book Art. You can see ads for it in Marvel Comics all over the place. The kids, Adam and Andy, are huge comic book artists right now, doing all the great stuff. So I learned there, and I did a little bit of inking. I started doing some inking for some pros. I got some good work out there, and I thought, well, I'm going to take like it was pretty in-depth college and university. You know, these stories my daughter tells me, I didn't have that. I was in like the part of New Jersey where I was the only white dude there. There was like a curfew, man. There was a code on the door to get in. And I had like 6 hours of homework a night. So my college experience was a lot different than, say, my daughter's. It wasn't
right.
College life, right? No, it was like, look over your shoulder. Man, that's a whole other podcast, is my life in New Jersey, man. I could tell you some stories. Nice. So I did that, and I did some inking. And I thought, oh, man, this was grueling. I'm back in Canada, and I love Canada. So I started a band, right? This is when Green Day was just coming out. So I was like, well, I love punk rock and I can do that. You know what I mean? It was
yeah.
I can't write songs like Billy Joe, obviously, but the whole thing about just finding a bass player and a drummer. And I found Brent, who does a podcast on the network as well. He does a few of them. He has a Lifecast and the Coffee Cast.
Coffee Cast, and yeah.
Yeah. So I hooked up with him and another gentleman we called Dent, and he was on our show a while back. We did the summer party tour, I guess you'd like to say. We played for cases of beer and smoke and whatever else that they wanted to give us. And then it was funny because after that summer, all of a sudden it was like we went from playing like in this little Port Perry area to Oshawa to Toronto in just the span of a summer, right? We made all these friends, and next thing I know, it's a decade career. I've opened for Goy and Mr. Machetti. I opened for, and that's why they call me Chris Machetti, because I was the singer, guitar player, the front man for Mr. Machetti. So Chris Machetti was just natural. That's what everybody called me. Yep. Chris Machetti. So we did. We were like never the groom. We were always the best man. We were opening, right? So we toured with like Sum 41, Goldfinger, Gob. Like, dude, we partied, man. I'm so glad I got to do that, especially now when we're getting our age, right? Like, dude, I'm so glad. I meet people and like, you know how it is, right? You get those friends that are in the industry you're in. They're musicians, they're artists, because they put up with you, or put up with me anyway. That's the way I look at my friends, right?
Sure. Yeah. I feel the same sometimes. Sure.
Yeah, like musician family, and plus you've gone through things on the road and stuff. And I'll run into people, and they'll remind me of the greatest times I've had during that decade. And I'm like, wow, I'm sure glad I did that. And I'm glad I remember it now. But now it's so after I did the music thing for a decade, and it was funny because we were still going, man. Like we were on a developmental deal, and that's when we were out with Sum 41, like a lot, and Protest the Hero were like super good friends of ours. And we were playing lots of shows with them. And it got to the point where I actually couldn't handle being in a van anymore and traveling and thinking,
what a grind. That's a grind that most people can't even fathom.
Right. Yeah. It developed some anxiety issues in me. The funny thing is that I have ADD, and then if you get put in certain situations in life, I found that it escalates to anxiety. Right. You know what I mean? You need to look after probably. And our age, like they didn't look after it properly when we were young. You know what I mean? Like it was just like, he's fine. He's just a little hyper there. Just smack him in the ass under the corner.
Same thing. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So that turned into anxiety, and man, it was just like I felt bad because it's like, okay, guys, I know we're on the cusp of doing something really cool, but I'm out. And I lost a couple friends over that. Because we're not cool anymore. But for the most part, the people that stuck with me are still my best friends in my life from that situation. So from there, I had a duplex in Port Perry. So it was like 2 apartments, right? And we were renting out the one side to some relatives of my wife because I was on the road all the time. I wasn't home. So we were doing that for extra income and whatever. And then when I came home, I decided to, instead of rent that out, to turn that into a music school / art school. And I was living in Port Perry, Ontario, which is near Oshawa, which is near Toronto, and very expensive, my friend. Oh my God, my hydro bill. Like if I remember correctly, it was pushing like $500 a month.
What?
Which is, I know, right? And you're phoning them up going, is this right? And it's all in the delivery charge, sir. And I'm like, well, I can see where it's coming from. Do you want me to go get it? Like, because the building was right behind my house. Like,
wow.
Delivery. Yeah, it was nuts, man. But
That's
everything
crazy.
was like that, right? Because it was just a little tourist town, and it was very, very, a lot of the voters were the PC voters. So they're a little more in the upper class kind of thing, right? So I was in there, this punk rock dude in there, teaching guitar lessons and art to all these upscale parents, people's kids
and stuff.
Cool,
yeah. That's
cool.
Cool.
The funny thing is that a lot of the parents were my age and they saw me play. So I thought that was cool too. So a lot of them, like when I was teaching the guitar lessons, man, I remember seeing you play at Trader Sam's, way back over the summer when I was home from college, or I saw you at Durham College or at this college. And so they're all bringing their kids there, and man, it took off. Nice. I was teaching like 20 kids a day myself. I had 3 other teenagers working for me. I had a band program. Wow. We had like members of Our Lady Peace coming in to do concerts. Slash's band, Brent Fitz was in there many times. Brent was such a rad dude. We actually have video footage online of him and myself and a few of my selected students playing Good Times, Bad Times by Led Zeppelin. Nice. And then dude, it was great. And we did a little heavier version, right? And then you got this little kid with long hair just going up to the front doing the solo, and Brent's just smiling and laughing like, oh my God, right? Because we didn't rehearse it. We just went in there and did it. Like he showed up, he did his deal, he talked to them, and we just played it. Yeah. And then another one, and I'm blanking on his name, is the singer from the Killer Dwarfs, Russ Dorff. So the singer of the Killer Dwarfs came in as well because one of the kids I taught, her dad was Geddy Lee for Rush's bass tech, man. He's on their DVDs. So imagine this.
That's awesome.
A guitar player, and I taught bass lessons because I could play the bass too. I just thought, all right, I got to learn how to play bass. So I'm teaching his daughter, bass tech from Geddy Lee's daughter, how to play these bass songs. And she's just like, yeah, I want to learn YYZ. I'm just like, oh shit. You know what I mean? I'm still trying to keep it cool. Cause dude,
she's basically like, can you play my dad's parts?
Yes. Like, can you do this? Can you do this? So I taught her, but it was so nerve wracking, but she played in this gig with Russ from the Killer Dwarfs. And we did Jailbreak but not by AC/DC, by Thin Lizzy.
Thin Lizzy.
And oh man.
Nice.
And it was so great. So the school dude was getting legendary. It was getting to the point where I was getting phone calls from other schools that were just saying stuff like, stop teaching lessons from our book. And it's like, we don't use a book. Chris teaches, he's never been to school for music. And then other things that the city was overcharging me for shows, and they were benefit shows. There was a lot of things that the small town was I was almost feeling like they didn't want me there. Do you know what I mean? Like the kids did, but the people that ran the town, whenever I tried to do anything, they wouldn't let me, or they would overcharge me. Here's a perfect example. We rented a huge hall down there. They took 40% of my ticket earnings, and I had to use the sound guy that was the son of the lady that was the liaison between me and the place, right? So some politician in Port Perry.
No nepotism going on here.
Dude, it was horrible. And I hate that stuff. Like
that's terrible.
I hate that. Like, I hate people ganging up on the little guy. But check this out, Todd. So the show's about to start, and I'm talking to the sound guy, and I'm thinking, all right, dude, I don't like to judge people by what they look like. But this guy did not look like he's like knew anything about rock and roll to begin with. Maybe he knew about sound, but this is a rock school. We got like, Brent Fitz coming in, some celebrities. So I talked to him and he goes, oh yeah, well, I had to do this Rick Emmett show and everybody was so mad at me and Rick Emmett wouldn't even talk to me after. And I'm like, well, what did you do? He goes, oh, they just didn't like the sound. So what do you think all the parents did to me after the show? Well, it was a great job, Chris, but I couldn't hear my kid. And I had to pay that guy $500 to screw up my show because of a lady who was on the town council.
Right.
So, man, it was funny though, Todd, because I had the band right on the cusp of me being on the road constantly, and I had to make a decision. So I was on the cusp of me having my school. I should buy like a bigger place. I should rent out a bigger place. I could expand. I could really take over.
Yeah.
But do I want to do it here in Port Perry? And that's when my daughter moved to Vancouver to work for Brent Donnelly, doing all the shows. So Brent's showing her, hey, check this out. We're going to do a U2 show. I'm going to, here, and now you're going to run the scenes in Vancouver. Right. So she left and moved to Vancouver. I was like, well, she can leave Port Perry. I can leave Port Perry now. So that's when we looked, and I'm in Kingston now. And tell you, so check this out, Todd. I've been in Kingston for 3 years now. I have been hired by the public school up the road, Catwood School. I've been hired by the public school on the other side of me, the Westbrook one. And they're paying me to go work with their kids. They like cherish that I'm going to take my time to work with these kids. I tried to work with the kids for free in Port Perry. Oh no, man. No, it's cool. Thanks though. Is that Aussie tattooed on your hand? Oh yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. That's okay. That's okay. And it's funny because you can see them looking at stuff like that, right? I've worked with mental health. I still work with all these people. The Kingston Mental Health has hired me on to do comic book art therapy. I talk with people who are coming out of comas and don't remember a lot of stuff in their personal lives, but man, they remember comic book stuff, Todd. It's funny in a great way, because these guys be like, I don't remember what I did last year at this time or who I was with, but I remember Wolverine number 232 on page number 3, and it's great. And I just sit there and talk to them.
I wonder what that is. I wonder what that recall is. Why is it like that we can go to that shelf and pull it out and go like, yeah, I got the first appearance of Punisher. I've got the,
it's amazing to see it happen, Todd. The passion, maybe, right? Like the passion and the love for it. I've surrounded myself by all the, I wish I could pan.
Yeah, I know. I'm just looking and kind of pecking and hunting and seeing what you got behind there. It looks awesome.
Thank you. This is where I draw my tables, right over here. And I just have to surround myself by this. I shut the door.
Yeah.
And I just surround myself by it. It's funny because the logo KISS, when I see that logo KISS, I think back to when I was like 7 years old. My parents took me to see the Dynasty tour. Last one with Peter Criss, right? And just that whole era. Like the new KISS I can't really get behind. But same. Ace, Peter, Paul, and Gene.
Yeah. Oh, man. Those days, the late 70s, like those were the days, man.
Kiss Meets the Phantom blew my mind, right?
Yeah.
Can I stay and watch that? Can I stay and watch it? Okay, Chris, that's fine. Yeah. So I got out of Port Perry, came to Kingston, dude, and I'm working for everybody. The film festival, Art Council. I'm doing something for the Heritage Society this next week online. And I'm I was trying to do this for free in Port Perry. They are paying me a lot of money to do it here, my friend. Right. And they love me, and they like the fact that I'm willing to help. So that's what happened there. And now I'm my main gig is I started Machetti Comics. There it is. So I've come full circle, Todd. I started doing comic books, got sidetracked by drinking and partying a lot and playing in a band. And then I got sidetracked by the future and helping them and keeping rock and roll alive. And now we got to shut down. And I've full force into art and drawing, and I'm getting a lot of work. It's great.
Nice, dude. And doesn't it feel, going back to, the city, and doesn't it feel nice to be appreciated?
Yes.
Right?
Especially in Kingston, where the Tragically Hip's from. And I'm jamming with people, and buddies like, I don't know names. Rhythm guitar player lives 3 doors down the road. It's like, what? And my daughter's now working for one of the bands here. And again, I'm blanking on names, but they're huge now. They just opened for the Stones.
Just opened for the Stones.
Yeah. Kingston band. They got that song Shotgun.
Glorious Sons?
Yes, Glorious Sons here from Kingston too, right? And my daughter's doing their merch, collecting their merch, taking tabs on it. Okay. And she works at the cannabis store. So She brings me home treats all the time. She brings me home all these treats, dude. It's great. She'll tell,
Nice.
What kind of mood are you in, Dad? It's like, sativa, need some energy, dude. Okay, well, I got a chocolate bar for you. You know what I mean? Like, life is so good here, buddy. And it's another example of just being like, if you have something that you think you can do, you may need to move to do it, but dude, you can fulfill those crazy childhood dreams, man.
Yeah.
You just need the right people around you and behind you.
Yeah, that first step too, right? Like just to get
that first leap.
Sometimes it's a big one. So what was it that hit you first? Was it the music or the drawing and art?
It was Spider-Man. I remember it's funny because I remember my first Spider-Man experience and my first Kiss experience vividly. And maybe that's part of the thing about with the mental health, right? Like I couldn't give you details about my first girlfriend, but man, I can tell you all these things about like Kiss and Spider-Man. So sorry. So I remember I was in grade 1. I was homesick from school, and my dad brought me home a stack of Spider-Man comic books, and that was it. And I have it's on the wall. I have the one on the wall there. But again, I wish I could turn because I still have it. It's beaten up, but it's in a frame on the wall there.
Yeah. Well, go grab it. Oh, you paused.
And it's
there it is. Nice. Oh, dude, nice, man.
So, and that's like the first of the Clone Saga when first of the Clone Saga when cloning just started. Okay, my internet said it's unstable. Are we still good here?
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're still good.
Perfect. Great.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's it. My dad bought me those home so he's responsible for that, which is funny because he's a sports and car guy, right? But brought me home the spot, and then that became the thing. When I was sick, my dad would bring me home comic books.
Okay, so it's at that point it would be what John Romita Jr. would be the artist, or
exactly. Good call, buddy. Yes, exactly. No, that's who it was. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So which artists were the ones that kind of grabbed your attention? Like, what did you think of the Todd McFarlane? Speaking of Spider-Man, like his Spider-Man to me was like fucking gangbusters. Was it 298 and then up?
That's it, buddy. That's exactly it. And then he brought Venom in, right?
Yeah.
And I still have all those for like cover value, like 50 cents or whatever they were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love Todd McFarlane. He is one of my all-time favorites. As a matter of fact, the main character in here. Well, this will tell you right here, Todd. My main character's real name is Todd Kirby.
There you
got
go.
Todd McFarlane and Jack Kirby.
Jack Kirby.
Dude, Jack Kirby. See, we did a podcast last night and we were talking about the Silver Surfer, and it's like, oh yeah. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby created him. It's like, okay, well,
Mephisto #3, first appearance. I have it.
You have that. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. My earliest comic I have is X-Men #6.
I think I got something like that as well. X-Men was my favorite, and I know for sure I have from 121 and up till like maybe 400.
John Byrne issues, right? With Chris Claremont.
Dude, so good. Like the Phoenix Saga was fucking so good, man. Like
the Hellfire Club were brilliant as well, right? The Elite Society. That's when I came on the X-Men, which is funny. You mentioned that. We were at my grandmother's cottage. There's this tiny little variety store and like, comic books. And it was an X-Men one. And it was when they were fighting the Hellfire Club, they're all in a pile.
It was like around 190?
No, this would have been like 130.
What am I thinking at 190?
Well, there was a second incarnation of they came back again, but the ones I'm thinking of are the late 70s, early 80s with John Byrne and Chris Claremont, their first run when Wolverine just kind of, because they were going to ditch him, right? And then John Byrne came in, who's a Canadian, was like, oh no, we got to use this guy. So and then there was the one issue where he fought the Hellfire Club, and it was Wolverine alone, and there was that last shot of him coming out of the sewer going, "Now it's my turn, suckers," and I was just like, what the hell? Totally. This isn't Spider-Man. This is like way beyond. Yeah. So what do you still buy comics at all?
Sometimes I do. Yeah. I don't collect anymore. I used to collect like a maniac. I used to collect like the issues that I collected. I would collect like 2. So I would bag one right away. And then the other one I could read, right?
Yeah. So did you buy like 1 million copies of X-Force #1 like I did, or Darkhawk #1 or anything like that?
X-Force I probably did, yeah.
I got like 20 copies of that.
You really, yeah.
I do.
And that was Rob Liefeld, I think, was the...
Yes, Rob. Yeah, the no feet guy, right? But he created Deadpool.
That's right. Wow. And that's big, man. Fucking Deadpool, dude. Yeah, really? Could you just please create one of the biggest superheroes ever?
I know.
And it's such a and he's and Deadpool's I have an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, so Deadpool's like tricky to explain, especially the younger, when they were a bit younger. Like, he's a good guy, but he does bad things.
Sure does. Yeah. It's like the bad conscience of Spider-Man, right?
And how about, do you remember Art Adams?
Oh geez, yeah.
When he was doing stuff with X-Men and all that.
Oh, dude, his amazing stuff. He did a run on The Walking Dead too, where the covers all linked together. Right. And they were fantastic. Yeah, I'm a big Art Adams fan.
I always thought that Art Adams was Todd McFarlane's like, not the muse, I guess, of Todd McFarlane. I always thought that his art kind of emulated Art Adams' style.
All those little details they put in the background, which is great, right? And that pops the figure out more. It's so brilliant, Totally. And like the webs that McFarlane changed Spider-Man, dude. I don't know what Spider-Man, the
cape and shit when it got to Spawn and all that. Like,
yeah. How many copies of Spawn #1 do you have?
Oh, I probably have a few, 3 or 4 anyway.
I think there's a new movie of that coming out, which should be good. But Todd McFarlane's just such a great person, though. Like, listening to him talk.
Yeah, totally, right? Like all the interviews.
Yeah, I went up to Marvel, and my dad worked in the factory, and he got a plaque. Where's my plaque? I want a plaque. You know what I mean? Give me something. And it's funny too, because Tom DeFalco, one of the editors in chief, was like, "Stop doing those spaghetti Spider-Man lines. Make the eyes smaller." And Todd McFarlane's like, "Wait a minute. I'm the #1 artist in Marvel, which is the #1 comic company in the world, and you're telling me how to draw Spider-Man? Wait a minute." And that's brilliant, because that's an editor being jealous of the artist, which is kind of like my situation in Port Perry, where like,
oh, that's exactly it, man. That was exactly it in Port Perry for you. Yeah,
it's good. See, I don't talk to a lot of people about this stuff, so it's nice to hear that somebody else agrees with me on that. You know what I mean?
100%. It's the same thing. Yeah. How about Mike Mignola? Did you ever get into his stuff? With like Hellboy, Alpha Flight and Hellboy and all that? Mm-hmm. Man, he's amazing. He did
some really good X Factor work later in the day as well. But I loved his drawings. It was very simple, but his layout and the silhouette use was really great, man.
Yeah, really simple drawing, but somehow he just nails it, right? And I can't remember how to pronounce the last guy I wanted to talk to you about. Bill Synkowitz, I think.
Oh, Synkowitz? I believe that's how he
where he was doing like a bunch of Thors and all that.
Oh, yeah. And then is that when Beta Ray Bill came in as well?
Yes, around there, yeah.
Yeah, I really like that stuff, man. That was
which was issue 367.
Nice. Do you have that one?
And how that's in my mind, I do have it. Yeah, how that's in my mind, I have no idea.
Nice. Well, see, again, I think that's why it helps the mental health. Is like you click back to these things. So I'm terrible with numbers too, but first appearance Wolverine, Hulk 181. I know these things.
First appearance of Punisher, Amazing Spider-Man 129. I just do. I don't know why I know it.
Ah, that's awesome. That's awesome that you're into comics like that. I didn't realize that. That's really great.
Totally, dude. Like when I was like in high school, even 13, 14, 15, my life goal was I'm going to own a comic book and collectible cards store.
Nice.
That was what I wanted to do. And then
that would be great. Did you ever collect the Marvel cards, those Marvel series cards with the hologram? Yeah. Okay, those have gone up. A set of those is now going for like $250 on eBay now.
No way. Really?
Yes. And there's a Stan Lee card in there called Mr. Marvel, and it's going for $50. I've got like 6 copies of that card because I used to buy the boxes and the packs, right? And you just go through and whatever. But so those are one of the ones you may want to go back and see if you have those, because they're worth a mint now. And of course, anything that's on TV, of course, like the U.S. agent first appearance in Captain America is skyrocketing now, and the first appearance of Falcon is Captain America. So that's why I always like to follow up our podcast when we do like WandaVision or okay, now here's the comic books you want to buy, right? Because it'll take a $5 comic and bring it up to $50 to $100 after the series is done or the movie, right?
But I think it's always kind of been like that, though. Even when we were younger, it was like that strike while it's hot kind of thing. Remember the comic book Nom?
Yes, and Punisher was in there for a couple issues, right?
That's right, yeah. That was huge. Like right out of the gate, within the first 6 months, 8 months of that, like you could have sold the first issue for $100 easy. And now it's probably not even worth $20.
No, it didn't go anywhere, right?
It didn't go anywhere, yeah. Like I wonder what my collection is worth, and I would hate to know what it's worth too, though. Dude, probably not that much.
No, I bet, dude, it's a different world now. See, sometimes like I have so many boxes of comics. I have a closet filled with them, and I'll pull out a box when I'm just feeling bored or whatever. need some inspiration for drawing, and I'll just go through and I'm like, holy crap, I'm Married with Children #2. They made a comic. You know what I mean? It's like, wow.
Yeah,
or I'll go through and find another one. Go, wow, I got this. This is great.
I do that too some time to time. Yeah, it's cool, right? Little walk down memory lane. Like, oh yeah, I forgot I grabbed that Green Lantern with the first appearance of whatever, right?
Yeah. I also thought Alpha Flight, I'm retiring on Alpha Flight #1 as well, but didn't happen, but that's okay.
Okay. I got into Alpha Flight though, and I think
me too.
I think it was because of the Sasquatch and Puck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great characters, and John Byrne as well. I followed him around a lot to whatever he did when he did.
That was
X-Men,
John Byrne as well.
Yeah. John Byrne did such a great job on everything he did.
Yeah.
It's so you don't buy a lot of the new comic, like you don't go down for new comic book day or anything like that.
Oh yeah, no, I still go and.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, I still go buy stuff. I just don't collect. I don't collect like I'm gonna get every issue. I don't do that anymore. But like, oh, that's cool. Or grab a graphic novel or
those
whatever.
are great.
Yeah.
So the new Star Wars series. Have you read any of the new Star Wars series?
New Star Wars? No, I haven't. No.
Okay, because what it's doing now is it's going in. What's what first went in between A New Hope and Empire. So everything you're wondering that happened in between there, you find in the comic book, and it's good. Now I'm between Empire and Return of. And I'm at the spot where Boba Fett is delivering Han Solo and Carbonite to Jabba the Hutt, and we're seeing all the behind the scene things. Now, also in the new Darth Vader that I picked up today, buddy. Okay, the new Star Wars movie, the newest one, I had a huge problem with. Wow, I don't know if you can see me go off on my podcast on one of my co-hosts. I'm sick and tired of people hacking on the movie. What do you mean? And I was like, you tell me what's good about it. And he couldn't. Right. I don't know if I scared him because I was like, oh, and stuff, but
yeah.
So in the new Darth Vader, he goes to Palpatine, and Palpatine put Vader through all these trials, treating him like crap, right? And so he finally takes Vader down to his hidden lair, and he's got all these little clones started, and Vader's like, what the hell's going on? So Palpatine takes him. Spoiler alert here. Palpatine takes Vader to this little water kind of thing in the glass, and he looks, and it's like, son of a bitch, it's Luke Skywalker's fucking hand.
Nice.
All this stuff started with him cloning, him learning how to do it himself with Luke Skywalker's hand. How cool would that have been in the newest movie?
Right?
Like, wow.
What?
Instead of just like, oh, there's a whole bunch of Sith over here who are awesome. We're not going to talk about them. The history of the Jedi. We're just going to have voices come in. And we're just going to pass it over to this girl. That's it. Like, oh boy. So anyway, the comic books, Todd, fill in all the gaps. And I'm so amazed that more people aren't talking about it. Because there's so many podcasts about, the Star Wars movies, and we need answers to this. We need answers to that. They're out there, my friends. You just got to buy the comic books. Right. And they're stellar. Like, I just bought them, but I think they're downstairs. But it shows, it's such a great scene because it's Palpatine leading Vader through these catacombs and all these, he takes him to this thing where there's all these crystals, Sith crystals, man, a pile of them. Nice. He's got them all down, and Vader can feel it. He's coming near the room, and he's like, "Oh my god, man, I'm getting a headache, right?" And he sees the room, and he can't even go in. It's so powerful. So he goes from there. The Emperor says, "Yeah, here's the start of it. Follow me down here." And there's all these partial clones starting from hands.
Nice.
Yeah, right.
Cool. Yeah.
And then he leads them to this hand, man, and it's just. And as soon as I saw the hand, I was like, fuck, it's Luke's hand. And and then they flash back to Vader cutting his hand off. And you look at that scene totally differently. Because Palpatine manipulated Vader to chop that hand off so he could use it. Mind blown. And that's in comic books, right? That's in comic books. Should that not have been in the last movie though?
Probably should have.
Like
been,
something like that. You know what I mean? Like the other. Yeah. I could go on forever on that, Todd. Oh my gosh.
Well, man, yeah. Star Wars for me too. Same thing. Like as a kid, it monopolized like 95% of my time.
Oh, it was the greatest thing ever, my friend, wasn't it?
Like that was the first. The New Hope was the first movie that I saw in theater.
Wow. Good.
Born in 73, so I was like 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
You know, like thinking back, like what if I let my 4 or 5 year old watch a movie like that in the movie theater? I don't know, but that was the 70s.
Yeah. Oh no, there's a totally different generation.
And probably on the way down to the theater, I was sitting in the back of the car in that little bubbled window seat with no, no seatbelt on. They're probably smoking a butt.
Yep. And meanwhile, I was in the back of a station wagon. They're sitting in the very back window and looking faces at everybody.
Totally.
So I probably got there, right?
Oh yeah, that's great,
That's
man.
awesome. Oh, the 70s were killer though, dude. So there's a lot of times I'll go to YouTube and I'll just put on best songs of 1973. You know what I mean? And it'll just go through all these memories and stuff, or 78 or whatever, you know.
Yeah. What was the music in your house, you know, as a kid?
Just radio. That's the funny thing, bud, is my parents were not into music. My mom was, my mom is an amazing person. She was housewife. She worked as a secretary occasionally. My dad owned a small car lot, and he was into sports. He I have to watch the Leafs. That's another funny one too. Is if you can name like a number, I can tell you like number 29 was Mike Palmateer back in the day, you know, and Bob Rouse being number 2 or number 3, like just little silly things like that. That's how Darcy Tucker, you know, number 16. That's how I remember like codes and stuff is Darcy Tucker, Mike Palmateer, 1629, stuff like that. So my dad was all sports and cars, and my mom was just like, I can't remember. My mom was just into raising me kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So it was funny going back to like my dad introduced me to Spider-Man. I was shopping with my mom probably a year later in a mall. There was this huge Kiss cutout standy thing, right, for Love Gun with all the girls in the front and everything. And I just stopped, and I still remember this, and my mom will repeat the story. I stopped, holding her hand, and I was just like, I want that. And she's like, you don't want the word kiss on your shirt. All these girls don't start kissing you. And for a minute there, I was like, oh, yeah, I don't want that. You know, I'm little. And I walked away, and I was like, no, I want that. I want that. And they were behind me, though. They supported, like I say, they took me in 1979, the Dynasty Tour, the last one with Peter Criss, to see them in Maple Leaf Gardens, man. And I remember all of that vividly. It was great. I can still see it on YouTube. Somebody's got that on there, too. So my mom introduced me into Kiss, not on purpose. And my dad introduced me to comics, and both are huge parts of my life. And they're not into either of them, which is cool.
Yeah. And you said that there was a Spider-Man story from when you were little?
Oh, just the comic books, right? Like just when my dad bought me the Spider-Man comic books, dude. Yeah.
I thought you had a specific story. Like I have one from when I was a little kid, and I met Spider-Man at the P&E.
What? Oh, I got to hear that. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So and it was like, so I'm with my older brother. He's like 3.5 years older, and we had to go to the bathroom. So, you know, we're like, hey, can we grab some money or whatever? And we're going to come back with some pop or some popcorn and all that. So my mom gave us like $5 each and said, okay, each get your own drink or get whatever you want. And we'll see you back here in 2 minutes. Okay, cool. So we go take a leak, and on the way and I still remember this, I'm like 6 or 7 years old at this point, right? But so I went and I take the leak, and as I'm going to get in the line to get the pop, there's Spider-Man, and it's a $5 thing to get a picture, a signed picture. Like they're not taking a picture, but like a little black and white. He signs it and, you know, gives you a hug or whatever. So I spent my money on that and got in shit because I didn't get my pop.
Oh man, that's awesome though.
So good, man. Like I was just such a little kid, and I just didn't care. I remember thinking I'm going to get in trouble for doing this. And I was like, I don't care. It's Spider-Man. I got to get a picture with Spider-Man.
Oh, dude, you don't have it still, do you?
I think I might have it somewhere.
Really?
I do remember seeing it in the last like decade. Like since I moved to where I am, I remember seeing it. So it's kicking.
That's an awesome memory to have that in your hand, right?
I know, right?
Great.
Just
my wife and I got to meet Stan Lee before he died.
No,
and that was at the Toronto Fan Expo. So we got to meet him, and it was great. And we and it's funny because being a musician, waiting in line for something. People at concerts are a-holes. They're drunk and they're pushy and they're rude. Yeah. You're standing in line to watch Stan, and people are on the outside walking by, bringing chairs up for ladies who've been standing too long. It's the opposite. You know what I mean?
Yeah, everyone's smiling, having a good time. Like just the vibe's totally different, right?
It was so cool, buddy. So then my wife and I got in there, and I had to touch him. Like I just. Like not in a weird way. Yeah. You know what? I got my hand on his shoulder, and I was like,
on the shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, Stan, can I put my hand on his shoulders? Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I put my hand on his shoulder, and we did the Spider-Man thing. I got it up on my wall too, but it's really secured on there. I can't pull that one off. But and just say thank you. You know, Stan, you're a huge influence on my life. Thank you so much. Yeah, great. Nice to meet you. You know, and away went. And then it was funny because I left, and my buddy came in after. And he's a funny guy. He's going, it's Smiling Stan. And he just kept rhyming it. Excelsior, Smiling Stan. It stands. Nice. I could hear Stan like laughing his head off. And I'm like, man, I wish I like smoked one before we went in there. Something. I could have been funny or had a beer or, you know, because I was just like, hi, Stan. Nice to meet you. And my buddy had him just roaring, which is cool. Awesome. So I'm standing. I was like, oh, man, I kind of want to see it going on. So I got to meet Stan Lee, which was great.
So good, dude.
put my hand on his shoulder there, right? Which was
wow. Jealous. I'm so jealous, man. Because yeah, same for me. Like Stan Lee, he's, pivotal or a key reason why I am who I am today.
Oh, for sure. Him and Jack Kirby, man, like they just shaped the way the entertainment world. They're like I this is the one thing I impress upon, because we have a lot of people on our show. Brent likes to bring people on our show who don't know anything about comic books and stuff so that they can ask me questions.
Yeah.
And it's fun, but it's so much more fun to talk to people who actually know what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
But like you know what they're talking about, which is really, really great. But I can't wait to get back out to the Comic Cons and stuff like that, and really dive back in there. It's good that we got all this stuff on TV now, though. Huh? The Disney Channel's really stepping up.
Oh yeah, we have so much content coming out now. It's impossible to keep up.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, it's awesome though.
Which superpower would you want to have?
Oh, that's easy. I want to like control people's noggins, man.
Oh, a little Professor X. Eh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, like Professor S. Like the what do they call that? The psychic or not psychic? What do they call that? It's not psychic powers.
Telekinesis? No, that's levitation. Psionics? No.
Yeah, psionic powers or something like that. Look at a superhero geeks blanking on the word for.
I know, right?
like Marvel Girl has, like Jean Grey has, that kind of Professor X. Yes. That's I would like to have Professor X's powers, but my favorite character I would love to be. This is a joke I always say too. How you doing, Chris? Well, a little more Professor X and a little less Magneto today, or a little more Magneto, a little less Professor Xavier. But I love Magneto, buddy. Wow, what the best thing the X-Men movies ever did was the intros of him. It was so heartfelt, and anyone who I've talked to, I can't get behind the X-Men movies as a whole because the continuity is terrible.
It's terrible. Yeah.
The Magneto stuff, he should have had his own movie. And then when they showed more with First Class with the Hellfire Club and stuff, Sebastian Shaw, wow, dude. Wow. What a great written story, that poor kid. And then to show how Xavier grew up and to show how Magneto grew up.
Oh,
you get it. You get it. And that should have just been the movie there. Just them two growing up and then splitting at the end without all the extra characters, I think would have been great. Focus a little more on the layers of Magneto and Professor X, right? But yeah, dude, I'd love to be able to read people's minds and kind of go, these are not the droids you are looking for. And just
totally, yeah.
How about you? What would you take?
I always say teleportation.
Oh,
but beyond what Nightcrawler had, like teleportation to not just where you could see, but like just imagine that you're at the Eiffel Tower and you're there.
And minus the stench, right?
No.
When he teleports, it smells like sulfur. Apparently.
Sulfur, no stench, and you're able to carry whatever you're able to hold. So like you could firemen carry one of your buddies or whatever. Boom, teleport wherever, right?
That would make life so much easier too. How many times have you just said that too? It's like, I got to go visit my folks. I wish I could teleport over there and teleport home, man. That would be great.
Right, because 99% of the time I'd use it for good.
Mm-hmm.
But that one time where you just maybe need to teleport into the bank vault, and then out, a little
bit of scratch, pick up some new comics, maybe make the month a little easier. I'm behind 100%.
Like overall, it would be, okay, I want to do a few, and you can go as in depth on these, or just a real quick answer to yes or who wins or who loses.
Okay.
Hulk, Superman.
Oh, geez. I'm gonna say Superman. See, Hulk gets stronger the angrier he gets, but he also gets less smart. Classic Hulk. Nowadays, I don't know, is he Professor Hulk, isn't he? I'm going to go with the classic Hulk versus Superman, and I'm going to say that Superman would win because he's smarter. He'd take him out in space and launch him off somewhere. You know what I mean? Like
totally.
He could do that to him. He could. So I'm going to go with Superman on that one.
Spider-Man, Batman.
It'd be Batman because Batman would find a way. Batman would find a way.
Thor and Bane.
Oh, Thor, for sure. Thor's like, he's a god. He's a god. And plus, see, Bane he's got the venom in him too, right? So you can take him down. He is smart and he is clever, but I still think Thor would. That's a good question because a lot of people say, "Oh, Thor's a god. He'd annihilate him." But Thor isn't the smartest guy, and he's not the smartest god. He's super tough and he's great with fighting. But Bane could cleverly work something out to give him a run for his money. But Thor would win in the end.
Storm or Guy Gardner
Oh,
Green Lantern?
Geez,
Because of course he's a loose cannon.
He totally is with the shaved noggin up top there, right? Yeah, I actually got an issue of him against Lobo. That's really interesting. I'm a Lobo fan. Okay, so Storm versus Guy Gardner. Wow. That's a really good question. I'm gonna go with Storm just because I think she would have more tricks up her sleeve. And I think that how does the freezing work on his ring? Wow, that's a good question. That might come to a draw. If anybody, I would lean towards Storm, just because I think she could keep pounding him down and stop him from using his ring at her.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if she froze his hand and he couldn't access the ring, would that work? I don't know. But I would say, from what I know, from my comic book knowledge, I would say Storm.
Lobo, you mentioned Lobo, and I think that they've done this in comic book form. Lobo and Wolverine.
Whoa, I have that, but it's a mockumentary of it. It's like a joke comic book of it, but I have it.
Yeah.
Wow, two guys who regenerate, right? Did you ever see Lobo on that Krypton show or whatever it was?
I'm not sure.
Oh, dude, well, you can find just his segments on YouTube.
Okay.
You got to do it because it's amazing. It is Lobo. It is Lobo done
so
amazingly.
Good, right?
Dude, it's the kind of thing where he's got to get behind this glass to get at somebody.
Yeah.
So what he does is, and there's a little opening, he gets his hand in there and the guy chops his hand off. Well, he regrows. So he kills himself and he regrows himself from the hand in that cell that he couldn't get into.
Right.
So gross. And he's walking around with no legs for a while. You know, you bastards, I'll get you. So it's really, really cool. Okay, so Wolverine and Lobo, man. That would be like a 10-issue series, right? Because it would just
be a big one.
You'd think one guy was dead, and next thing you know, oh no, he's back. So I would say Wolverine, because I'm a key believer, and he's done this once to Hulk in it was like a comic book, but it didn't stick. It was another storyline. The popping that claw through your brain, I'm gonna think that's got to have massive damage. All three of them, right through your brain. I'm thinking that's got to be super damage. And because I don't know, can you burn Lobo up? Like, can you totally destroy him?
I don't know. It's like Deadpool.
Yeah. So, then again, so let's put it this way. If Lobo can't be, if putting the claws through his brain does not kill him and he can regenerate his brain, which would be amazing to be able to regenerate your brain exactly the way it was without any kind of difficulties. I can see a hand, right? But our brain is like meticulous. Then I would say Lobo, because Wolverine could be, well, like when Wolverine went down, he was encased in adamantium. So if Lobo was encased in adamantium, damn, he would be down too, right? Yeah. Wow. You know what? I think the universe would end. I think that would be it. It would go, the universe would end. That's a good one, man. You know what? I'd have to sit down and have a couple smokes and a beer and really.
That's like a half-hour podcast right there, just dissecting it, right?
What a great story that would be to write for like Marvel DC if they ever decided to do that. Maybe Kevin Smith gets tapped for it or somebody, right? That would be like, you want me to write what? Oh my God, okay.
You remember those team-ups? The Marvel team-ups?
Oh, geez, I got a ton of them.
I loved those as a kid, man. I thought those were the best.
Yeah, they were good because it was an in and out story too, right? You didn't have to like invest. There's nothing worse than getting a comic book and you get the cliffhanger, and for some reason when you're a kid you couldn't find it again.
Yeah.
And then you get the one after, like, what the hell? Yeah. Now we can go to the comic book store. We can go online. It's so much easier now, right?
Yeah. What are you still collecting right now?
Oh man, so I still buy Daredevil
or reading.
Yeah, well, I Daredevil, man. Daredevil. It's consistently the best comic book, I think, because it's not like for adults. Right now, Elektra's Daredevil. Daredevil's in jail and has been, and the Kingpin is the mayor of New York. And wow, what a great story! What a great story! I still buy Spider-Man. He's got a new costume. It's blue. Not that cool, but you know what's going to happen is they're going to give him back his original costume in about 20 issues, and it'll sell through the roof because he's back.
Yeah, of course.
So I buy Spider-Man. I buy, I was buying The Walking Dead, but they stopped that comic book now. I buy the Darth Vader comic book. I buy the Star Wars comic book because it's so good. The information is gold. I buy the Bounty Hunter comic book. Yeah, I buy a lot of them still, dude. And then occasionally I'll grab something if I think it piques my interest. All I got to do is just send an email or a text to my local comic store, and in Adam, there's one right up the road from me, and then there's a big one downtown. So I've got Mark over here at the small one. I've got Adam downtown, and if Mark doesn't ever have anything for me, I just text Adam. He's got it.
Nice.
Because I'm always looking online too, right? Like, what's accessible and what's a cool one shot. But the downtown store has dollar bins, so whenever I'm feeling it, man, I spend like an hour there, dude. It's like, and they know me, totally. Right? I've had them on the show and stuff, so I can pull the boxes out and just go through them, sit on the floor. It's great. So I make sure I'm in the right zone for that, and I go in there and they're like, "Hey, Chris, how's it going?" Well, they're all in the back waiting for you. Got some new ones in there. They know, and I find so many great books in there. It's so therapeutic. So I buy all the new Star Wars stuff. I still buy Spider-Man. I don't do Deadpool or anything like that. I like and Daredevil. I really like Daredevil. And what else is there? There's a new one called Strange Academy. So it's kind of like Harry Potter school, but it's Doctor Strange, and they're all young wizards. Oh, it's really good. Really good. The art's great on it too.
Yeah. I love Doctor Strange. What a cool character. Always have.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did you ever think that it would be at where we are today when you were a 12-year-old kid? Like, did you ever, because I don't know about you, but I was, not that I ever was called a geek or whatever, because I was kind of popular or whatever. I had a bunch of friends and stuff, and I never ever felt that way. But I knew that they kind of thought that it was geeky, that I liked comic books and that I read them and all that. And if it was a sleepover, I'd have a backpack of fucking 10 comic books, or whatever, right? But yeah, you never got that? You never did?
Oh, dude, I listen to this. Here's a great quote, because I could play guitar pretty well, right?
Yeah.
So went to grade 9. We went to this party. We weren't supposed to be at, 'cause it was all older kids, man. This is my first real party kind of thing. Yeah. And you're kind of scuttering around trying to find somewhere to stand where, oh geez, that guy doesn't like me. Oh, that guy sees me. You know what I mean? It's high school.
Yeah.
So we got in this room, there's a guitar there, and one of my buddies says, "Dude, play the guitar. And some older kid heard, play the guitar. Shoved it at me, man. So I sat down, dude, and I played the finger tap into Eruption flawlessly. My buddy, I'll never forget this, dude. And then people were nice to me after. It's sad, but they were nice to me after. And my buddy says to me, he says, "Man," and in all seriousness, he says, "If you couldn't play guitar like that, you would be getting shit kicked out of you." And I'm just like, "Oh yeah, right on." None of my friends collected comics. I had to hide them, dude. It was one of those things that when they came over, they were in a back room. Nobody, didn't talk to them about them, which is why oh no, dude, it was my dirty little secret. Was my comic books, dude. It was like all, heavy metal posters. I didn't have any Spider-Man stuff up. I was still trying to collect, like, the Transformers were just coming out when I was in, and they were so cool. And I wanted to buy a lot of them. And, you just buy a Transformer? No.
I had Transformers too, man. Like,
yeah, they're great. So I didn't have that support. No, man. I had to hide it all.
I just did. My brother gave me a rough ride, of course, right? But it was just my brother really that was giving me a rough one. But back to my point is, like, did you ever think in a million fucking years that it would be like super popular like it is now, where there's like 6 to 10 major Hollywood movies being made about the shit that we loved as kids?
Oh man, well, dude, when they said they were going to bring the Infinity Gauntlet saga to life, mind blown. Yeah, and Thanos was done so well. He's another guy that I'm a huge fan of. Thanos, just a great character, just layers, man. Like he's trying to help, but in a terrible way. Now, the cool thing about the Eternals movie, and I talked about this last night,
and that's coming too. The Eternals is at the end of the year, I think, right?
That's going to be the sleeper one, Todd, because everybody's going, Eternals, I don't know about it. Dude.
It's going to be awesome.
I akin it to if they were going to show where the Jedi and Sith came from. This is going to show where the Infinity Gauntlets came from, where heroes came from. You're going to see Thanos growing up. Dude, this is going to be mind-blowing. And the actors and the actresses in it are fantastic. I had a problem with some of the acting in The Falcon Winter Soldier, especially opposed to WandaVision, because the actors and actresses in WandaVision were amazing. Catherine Hahn, oh my gosh. And seeing that one come to life too about Scarlet Witch and the twins was just, again, a John Byrne story that started out there. And then they brought in the Quicksilver there, the good one from the X-Men. Yeah, dude, watching it all come to life is just blowing my mind. I'm so happy. You know what I mean? Like, because I say this to people all the time because it's like, I've got these. And the other cool thing is that my comic book collection, which I'm handing down to my daughter, and she's very excited about that. She's going to hand it down. This is making all these, you collect comics, way to go. Yeah. That comic I spent 50 cents on is now worth $100, and that's like lowballing it, brother. You know what I mean? They're all escalating in value. So not only is it cool stuff that I enjoy and it just makes me happy, I know it's going to happen in most of it. So you're the guy now. I got my buddy. My kids wondering what's going to go on with that Guardians thing. Are they gonna, what's going on? Who's this guy? Okay, so I tell them, and now I'm the popular guy, right? Whereas
it's come around.
It is, dude. It is. So my comics are worth a mint, and people are jealous because I still, you still have that comic. Way back in the day, I was like, actually, I do, and it's in mint condition. Man, my kid's got it. Everyone wants to get it. It's worth like this, and yeah, dude, it's totally come around. It's like everybody wears Spider-Man shirts, Superman hats. Like it's just a way of life now. And the other cool thing is that the majority of these characters were created back in the late 60s, early 70s, man, with the exception of Deadpool, right? He's probably one of our newest ones. But, Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, those are 60s kids, 60s creations, right?
Let me ask you this. Only because I'm ready in the pipe with what I think they should do. Yeah. What do you think that they should do for another like mind-blowing movie? Marvel.
Yeah.
Let me throw this out to you just to get your brain going. Secret Wars.
Oh, geez, that's exactly what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Beyonder, first appearance of Venom.
Man, that machine in there. That was it. The cool thing too is to get the whole scheme of that. Like, okay, we got all these heroes thrown together. The X-Men are in here. We don't trust the X-Men. And then you got the villains, and villains are villains, man. They can't trust each other. Bring on the bad guys, man. And of course, Doom elevates above everybody because he wants that power. And what the layers that shows to Dr. Doom's character of him wanting that power, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you think, oh, he's worked great with all these villains. He'll use them to his own bidding. And then there's some good stuff in there, like when the Wasp, she gets trashed real hard. There's some stuff they could really make intense. You know what I mean? I really want to see Magneto in the new, because he's my favorite, right? Like I like him better than Wolverine actually now, and better than Spider-Man, just because of his story. And I would and being an adult now, the Spider-Man movies you can tell are for kids. There's a lot of school stuff in there, a lot of college stuff. And I do find myself when they are in the school scenes kind of drifting off a bit. I got to admit. So this would be a good one to keep a little more. The Secret Wars, really hit it that way. I
wonder if they've even thought of that. They can't be just you and I geeking off on that. Like they've had to have had that meeting of like, how the fuck are we pulling this off?
Right?
Like how are we
going over all the big things that happened? Like the Phoenix was a huge event and they've done that to death, right?
Yeah.
And not properly. The Infinity Gauntlet was a huge event. Like they just replaced a few people because the X-Men and Silver Surfer weren't in there. What else? And then the WandaVision, man, they took that right out of the West Coast Avengers comics.
Yeah.
Except for Magneto showed up at the end, right?
Yeah.
And said, "Oh, you're my daughter," and that was so cool. So I still want to see that. The biggest thing I want to see, just because I'm kind of curious how well they're going to do it, is Magneto, and the X-Men. I got like Fantastic Four. To me, my opinion on the Fantastic Four is it should be easy. These are the original family of Marvel. Just redo what Stan Lee and Jack Kirby did, man. That is the seed that planted it all. You don't screw with that. My gosh, and Doctor Doom, what? Just make him look the way he did. Don't change Doctor Doom. He lost his mother. He tried to get into black magic. Mephisto comes involved. He's so smart. He's so jealous. It's so vain. You know what I mean? Off the beginning, he had a small little scar on his face, but he was so vain that he covered his whole face because of it. All he had to do was grow his hair down a little bit, but he's so vain. That's what, to me, Fantastic Four is easy to write, but easy movie-wise to do. Same with Spider-Man, in my opinion, just because his rogues gallery is so huge. X-Men. There's so many X-Men.
Right.
I can't keep up with it. I can't buy the X-Men anymore because I pick up an issue and I'm like, I don't have a clue, dude, what's going on, right?
Well, it's tricky. It's always been that changing team, right? Like I go back and I'll think of like a limited series like Long Shot. Art Adams again, right? And I think that was one of the reasons why I liked that series. And then you kind of get into it, and then he was in the series for a little bit as well. And it's just such always influx comic book, then it's tricky to keep up if you don't always month to month.
And the stories are so entangling. You know what I mean? Like they all moved to the Croken island there where they giant size started off, right?
Right.
But anyway, so they went to that island for a while, and everybody all the mutants were friends, right? There was no evil mutants and good mutants. They all came together. Right. And it was kind of like the mutants against humans, but I couldn't keep up with it, dude. So I don't know what happened there. Yeah. But Secret Wars, I was going to say that because that's from our era. That was another one of the big ones, right? Was Secret Wars. Yeah. One of my favorites was Contest of the Champions as well. Oh, yeah. And we kind of saw that in Thor Ragnarok, right? Which was, oh my gosh, that was played so well. Both those guys, the Collector and the Grandmaster, were just played amazingly.
And is there a better movie than Watchmen?
Oh, that is great. And again, just like the comic, right? Like
so good.
Justice, man. Yeah.
So good.
Again, very adult, right? Like so adult, you can't have kids watching that.
No kids.
That's why those are the ones that elevate for me, right? Are the ones that are like that, are a little more adult. The Boys was great. It was a really good series. I can't wait for that new one to come out there. Mm-hmm. How about the Daredevil series on Netflix?
I thought it was okay. I wasn't blown away by it. Same for the Punisher. I thought it was okay. Same for the Iron Fist. Looks like you paused.
Oh no, I'm back.
There, you're back again. Yeah. I think that like none of them, like the Defenders, is another one that I thought was okay. It didn't blow me away. But yeah, I mean, back to the Fantastic Four. I don't think they've done a good Fantastic Four movie yet, and that's a shame because, like you say, that's the original, right?
It should be so easy to do. Like again, you mentioned the Watchmen. Just redo that template, man. Just put your view on the camera shots and get the proper actors in there, and Fantastic Four should be really easy. They fly off, they get the rays, they come back. The Mole Man comes from from underground.
The Mole Man,
and you start your story. Maybe tease Doctor Doom at the end, right, or something, or have him the mysterious guy on his own in Latveria, and again having him be royalty. So he's immune. Like he can go and do stuff and just, I'm leaving the States right now. No, you're not. Yeah, I am. I'm a monarch. I can do whatever I want. Kind of like Black Panther, right?
Right.
So that's another great element of, like, how can you not write a good Doctor Doom? It's all there. Just Google it.
I know,
Google
right?
Doctor Doom and read about him. If you cannot make a good character out of that, what's in front of you, man, then you shouldn't be making movies, right?
Yeah. True. I'm going to wrap it up real quick here. I do want to talk quickly about binge watching and stuff. Like, what are you, before I get to what you're binge watching right now? Yeah. Were you a fan of the Game of Thrones? And if so,
I didn't.
Okay. Oh, really?
My wife was watching, was all over it, and I'm here and there. I was here and there. There was like the gentleman that played the Mandalorian there, his character.
Oh yeah.
And he fought that great big guy, Mountain.
Yeah.
See, I was in and out. So sorry. So what was your question about?
And I was gonna say, if you watched it, what did you think of the ending?
Oh yes.
But you didn't see the ending probably then.
I didn't buy in enough. Dude, I did see the ending. My wife was really disappointed. I guess a lot of the actors were too, huh?
Yeah, man. Apparently it caused like a ruckus on set.
So, and that was new material, correct? That wasn't from the book. They just kind of
new.
See, that's kind of like what happened to me with Walking Dead is Kirkman did less and that other gentleman that I can't remember his name did more. And it really just started falling apart for me, which was unfortunate. That's another one where they kept it close enough that even the readers were like, oh man, what are they going to do with this guy? How are they going to change this? And when they did, you were like, oh, bravo. Right. That was well done.
Right.
And then they started doing things like killing off Carl. Was like, okay, you're killing off Carl? That doesn't make any sense at all.
It's like, no.
This has to be something behind the scenes with the actors because this does not make any sense at all.
Right. To the purist, again, it goes back to that, like the X-Men. It's tough to watch X-Men if you know the chronological comic book. It's hard to watch that shit.
I want to see just the Beast, Angel, Iceman, Marvel Girl, and Cyclops, man. Just in their blue and yellow suits. I would love to see that.
And like, wouldn't it be cool to see like the go underground and do the Morlocks and all that, right?
Oh, the Morlocks. That was another great series, right?
Huge. That was when I actually started really getting into it, and then I got into the back issues to get me back to 121.
Okay, so you remember when Angel was kidnapped there?
Yeah,
and
Warren Worthington the third.
Yeah, and they had him pinned up, and they took off his pin feathers so he couldn't fly. And as a kid reading that, going, "Whoa, that is dastardly." Oh, and then you see Warren, and then you feel that when you can read a comic and feel bad for the character, like if you can't portray that in a movie, but you can in a comic book, wow, you're the wrong people are doing the movie, maybe, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. So what are you binging right now then?
So right now, the funny thing is I'm binging old ECW wrestling. I love old ECW wrestling, man. That stuff because it's almost like superhero comic book stuff, right?
Yeah,
and further to that, of course, I'm watching. I watched The Bad Batch last night. I'm trying to watch Invincible, a little bit of that. Didn't really grab me.
Good.
It didn't really grab me off the hop. But as Brent says, as I tell everybody, watch more than the beginning there, Chris. You know what I mean? Like go through
it gets pretty ruthless. It gets pretty violent. So off
the beginning. It seemed pretty standard to me, the son who wants to be the superhero and the dad and that kind of thing. It seemed pretty standard, but it's Kirkman, so it's got to be good. Like he's again another guy who I really respect. Is Robert Kirkman. I'm trying to do I'm using the Kirkman steps with my comic book is what I'm hoping to do. I would love to work for Image, man. I'd be a dream of mine to work for Todd McFarlane. Are you kidding me? That would be just great, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing is following in Todd's footsteps and Kirkman's footsteps, trying to do the comic there. But yeah, binge watching, anything Star Wars, anything new Disney wise. Like I loved WandaVision. I thought that was fantastic. I really enjoyed
the WandaVision for me, the first episode, I was like, what is going on here, man? What is happening?
Total. And I wanted that.
If I like it,
I know I kind of wanted that though, right? Because I didn't want it to be all set out for me. You know what I mean? Like Falcon Winter Soldier was pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
It was kind of like Brett and I were joking that it was kind of like Marvel's what's the Need for Speed or whatever. That's with the two dudes.
Oh yeah.
Fast and the Furious. It was like a Fast and the Furious bro kind of flick. Like, yeah, we're gonna take. And so but and that was, as I mentioned, the acting was a little some low parts in there for me. But I'll binge. I binge watch. I'll still binge watch Falcon if it came on again. But yeah, dude, wrestling, ECW. Did you ever watch wrestling at all?
I watched WWE and then WWF into the WWE. Yeah, I watched it religiously, man. Like Hulk Hogan and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Andre the Giant and all the Coco Beware and shit like that. Yeah,
with the bird and everything. So that's what I'm watching is ECW right now, but I was doing a lot. Like I went through and watched all the old WrestleManias and stuff like that. And
okay.
Just all the young stuff I used to like when I was younger. Like I got, there's the belt right beside me right there. I got the
nice.
The plastic belt right there. Yeah.
Is that the Intercontinental or what is that?
No, that's the world one, man. That is the heavyweight wrestling championship.
Nice. Yeah, I got the British Bulldogs. I was a huge fan of as a kid.
Yeah, and then you see the stories behind the scenes on them.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've had a lot of wrestler like Jake the Snake's been on. Hillbilly Jim has been on
your show.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, and awesome. I try to get on as many as I can, right? Because I'm a fan, right? So.
And their stories are fantastic. It's like
their stories are amazing, man.
The rock stars have stories too, but I find that again because I was in there and I was out there. Some of them seem a little pompous. Like, I drank this and I did that, and I was hanging out with Ozzy, and then the wrestlers like, oh my god, I did this, and then I was told I did this, but I had to do it because I threw my shoulder out. So they're like, just take a couple of these pills and drink this, and they're not bragging about it per se. They're just saying, oh shit, man, this is what we had to do.
Right.
So it's a survival thing. You know what I mean? Like they're not going home to these mansions. They're going home to like maybe their wife and their one kid in in a duplex. Some of these guys, right? So it's so interesting to see the different sides of it. But those guys have great stories, man.
Oh man, that's the thing. Almost everybody has that story. Like if you can dig deep enough, you can find out somebody's story. It's all about listening and asking the right questions, right?
Totally agree.
Pretty exciting, man. Hey, it's nice to meet you.
Oh, dude, thanks so much for having me on the show, man. I'm sorry I missed you a couple times there.
Yeah, not at all, man.
I had my dog. He was almost 19.
Wow.
And he just passed.
Yeah.
We had him on. The vet had him on 5 years ago. the vet had him on steroids and he was dying. And I said, well, what about CBD oil? Oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that. So I grow my own because my wife's a cancer survivor and I have anxiety. So CBD is perfect for my family. And man, I grew like trees of it. I make my own oil. And I'll tell you, Todd, my dog went from not being able to walk to going all over the place. But his eyes were going, yes, dude, I religiously take that stuff. Religiously.
Yeah. Oh,
it's so good for you. My mom too. Her knees, like she has trouble getting them down the stairs. So we got her the cream and I make her the oil that she takes in the morning under her tongue with her coffee.
Yeah.
Man, she's like, oh my gosh, Chris, I can get up and move around. It's like, yay.
Nice.
Right on. Yeah. Nice. So sorry about that, but the dog's, it's all fine. We took care of it about an hour, man. And he's in the backyard under a great big stone. So.
Oh, he's nearby.
Yes.
Right on.
Yes.
Right
so
on.
I'm good. We're cool with it now. But thanks for having me on the show, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's really nice to. I love that. I knew that we'd be able to get along because of just the comic book thing alone, but getting into further stuff too is pretty awesome, man.
My problem is talking less, not talking more. Like people say, "Are you going to be able to talk for this long?" It's like,
no, I'll be all right.
Wait for it.
I know, right? And when you talk with me, it's like, yeah. You ever talk on the radio before? Like, I'm definitely. Also that
well, you got to come over on our show. You got to come over on our show sometime soon.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
That'd be great. Yeah, so I have the HM Music and Art School, or studio it's called now. I have Machetti Comics. We have an Etsy page for our artwork. We have a Patreon page. And that's just, if you go to Patreon, put in Machetti Comics, you'll find us. If you go to Etsy, put in Machetti Comics, you'll find us. If you put Chris Machetti in Google, you will have a page full of stuff. I've got a YouTube channel that some of my videos have 80,000 views on my guitar lessons and stuff. Nice. I have a lot of, it wouldn't seem like I do because I move so quick, but I have a lot of patience for helping kids and adults who are beginners at things. I love teaching beginner guitar lessons, and that's who I cater to on my YouTube channel for the guitar lessons, and it does really, really well. So you can find, as I say, just put Chris Machetti in Google, man, because I'm on Twitter, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. You'll find me. You'll find kids on the escalator with it. The whole deal.
Awesome, dude. Have a great rest of your day, and I guess we'll see you online.
We'll talk to you soon, Todd. We're gonna have you on our show ASAP.
Do it anytime.
Okay, buddy.
Okay, bud. Take care.